Hello and welcome to a brand new episode of Coming Distractions brought to you by the Nerdpocalypse Podcast. I'm your host, Jay. I'm here with my co-host, Micah.
Hey.
All right, guys, we are back. This is the spoiler-laden conversation for the newly released film, The Marvels. There is a spoiler-free review on our YouTube channel and in our podcast feed as we speak, but this is a spoiler review. We are going to talk about all the juicy things that happened in The Marvels, and of course the post-credit scenes, which were kind of a big deal. So, first off, if you've not seen The Marvels, go watch The Marvels so you know what we're talking about. But we're gonna give our we already gave our general thoughts, but we're gonna just jump right in with spoiler talk right now. Okay, I want to start with one of the sort of obvious things was the villain in this one. So after Captain Marvel leaves Earth and like flies off at the end of her movie, she was like, I'm going to go kill the super intelligence. And, you know, they actually show, you know, that happened. She goes to the planet and actually kills the super intelligence, the Kree planet of Hala. And that throws everything into disarray on Hala. The sun stops, goes dormant. Their water and their air basically kind of becomes poisonous to some extent, and their planet is dying, right? And so the Kree are suffering. And so the entire premise of this movie is that the villain has decided, hey, I'm going to go back and make Captain Marvel's life a living hell and sort of help my planet. Her name is Dar-Ben, played by Zawe Ashton. I thought she was a bit weak, and not necessarily in performance. I thought her performance was fine, but sort of weak as far as just the character and like what that character brought to the universe. I didn't really feel like it felt like a very throwaway character for me.
It felt like a stereotypical Marvel movie villain. And, you know, we've gotten spoiled with, you know, Killmongers and Thanoses and
Loki.
I can't think of, and Loki at a point. Boy, we'll talk about him later. But this felt like literally there was nothing that this actor could bring to this role, because this role is it's very weak. It's you know, she's basically just the personification of force. And I get it, right? Like they try to give the character a little bit of pathos by saying, you know, by having her be like a champion to her people, right? And you know, the whole, you know, one man's terrorist is another man's freedom fighter, right? Like that's not lost on me. But there's not much for this character to do, and they don't give her a lot of screen time. That's part of it. That's part of the reason why these villains are so weak is they don't have a lot of screen time. If you give them screen time, you are forced to flesh out their characters, and then, you know, they become more interesting instead of like, Tony Stark built this in a cave with a bunch of scraps, right? Like he, you know, like, all right.
Well, that was the classic MCU thing for a while. It's like, here's a hero. Now give them a villain who has the same power set. Like, okay.
Yeah. Evil opposite, right?
Yeah,
evil opposite. And
like,
even, you know, and even Killmonger. Even Killmonger is an evil opposite, right? He's just, they just gave him more screen time, and then they fleshed out his character. So yeah, this character is not one for the memory banks.
No.
But you know, she was fine. She was fine. She served the purpose that she needed to serve, which was to, you know, get the plot moving.
Right.
This movie turns into a musical in the middle of it.
Yeah. Let's talk about that. Yeah, they go to this planet, right? They go to this planet where the people there are their language is singing, right? So it's a bit weird.
It's dumb, yo. It's dumb. It's dumb.
Yeah,
It's
that's
dumb,
fair.
yo.
Now,
Like
here's what I would
you
say.
can understand me if I'm saying it like this, but you can't understand me if I say it like this. Like I'm saying the same words. Like it's dumb, right? Like it's silly. It's silly. I didn't think too much of it, but it's just a weird beat. Like it's played for laughs, but the comedy it didn't land for me.
Not for me either. Like what I found to be funny about that whole thing is this goes back to something we said in our spoiler-free review, which is they are shooting at a very specific demographic, right? Who I think would get a very big kick out of this. It is a very young woman demographic. This is like teenage girl demographic, and they are aiming squarely at it with that whole thing. And it was just like, okay, I was like, oh, is this scene over with? That's great. Like it just wasn't for me. And I recognize who it is for, so I'm not mad about it. It doesn't break the movie for me or some like tragic nonsense. But yes, I agree. It's very silly. It's weird because I'm just like, I don't need any of this. Like you could just cut all of that out. Like you could just cut it out.
I mean, like you could just cut the singing out. Like you could just cut the singing out. Like I understand you need a second act location, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I get why it's there, and you need a second act location for a second act fight. That's perfectly fine. I'm not even mad at it. I just think it was like silly. That's all. Like I just really had to say that for some strange reason.
Yeah,
and I like a bunch of dumb shit, but
right. And look, and I don't disagree with you. For me, I was just like, let's hurry up. Like let's hurry up and get through the scene. I'm not annoyed, but I'm getting annoyed. Like I'm like I don't like sing-songy talking to begin with. Okay, like so I'm not a huge musical person. Shout out to Carrie on this network. She may have loved this scene. I cannot imagine she didn't. But again, they are shooting directly at her and younger girls than her, right? Like, so they are aiming, they're aiming at women like Carrie's age and skewing younger, and that's fine. That's the demographic for this character. That's the demographic for this movie. I got no problem with that. Everybody should have something that is aimed at them. So there you go. For me, no.
All right, let me ask you a question. Okay, about the movie. Does this movie take place before or after Secret Invasion? Because if it takes place after Secret Invasion,
that's weird.
It's a bit of a problem.
It is a bit of a problem considering that they told the Skrulls like just go to Earth. And it's like I wouldn't do that. Like, it's not exactly safe. Also, it had to have taken, well, it doesn't have to, but I'd imagine it takes place before Secret Invasion because like Samuel L. Jackson don't have no kind of like, nah, don't do that kind of attitude.
Sam Jackson is playing with the Flurkin, yo. Like the thing that took his eye in this universe. I would have to imagine that Sam Jackson is not playing with all these kitty cat Flurkins, right? The real Nick Fury is not playing with all these kitty cat Flurkins if one of them took his eye, right? Yeah. And he seems very like, oh, like that is totally like
so you
opposite of what.
You don't even think this is the actual Nick Fury?
I think that's Talos. That's why I think this takes place before Secret Invasion. Because like he doesn't act like Nick Fury. Like we've seen how Nick Fury. I think about how Nick Fury acts.
Yeah.
Even in the first Captain Marvel, like he's not as like hard and grizzled and as he is in like some of these militaristic MCU movies.
Yeah, like Winter Soldier.
But he's not going Gucci goo to alien cats. You know what I mean?
And he is more grizzled by the end of Secret Invasion than before it.
Yeah, like he is super like he's embittered. right? Like
Yeah.
he's
Yeah, you're right. Like, as I think about that, yeah, it'd be bizarre if this does happen after it. Like, I just thought it was bizarre from a perspective of, it's like, why y'all sending the Skrulls down there? Like that's not a good idea.
and right. And if it does take place after, I mean, like Secret Invasion,
I send these people to get shot. Like,
right? They going down and they gonna get their asses handed to them. So I think this takes place. I couldn't find anywhere where it says where it fits in the timeline.
It has to be before Secret Invasion.
Yeah, I don't know, man.
That don't make any kind of sense, yo. Like, that shit doesn't make any kind of sense. Like, yeah, like it says both Miss Marvel and Secret Invasion are set in 2025, though Secret Invasion could potentially be in 2026, considering blah 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 blah. So it would mean the Marvels takes place in either 2025 or in 2026. Yeah, I don't know, but like in the timeline, like from a logic perspective, like that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. That's one of the issues that Marvel has to kind of tighten up. And look, maybe I'm ignorant, right? Like maybe it's out there. Maybe somebody can tell me. I mean, that's fine. If it takes place afterward.
Here's what Samuel L. Jackson says. So I'm actually very confused. It says, quote, "This series has to happen so the Marvels can happen. All these things are connected in an interesting sort of way." Now, this is probably before that came out in July. So that's before Secret Invasion came out. So I'm not so sure he's correct on that. Like, he may had a misunderstanding too. So
I don't trust actors when it comes to this stuff. Like, you got to trust the people, producing it and writing it and directing it, right? Like actors, I'm playing this. Sure, it takes place this, yeah.
Like, that don't make any sense. Like, as a nerd on the outside looking in, that does not make sense at all. So yeah, look, let's see other things. I did like the aspect that the villain, like, again, as much as I didn't think the villain was that interesting in and of herself, I did like the aspect of she was going from planet to planet, going like, all right, I'm gonna take your water, I'm gonna take your sun, I'm gonna do these things to help my planet. I thought that was a clever way in which they handled it. I thought that was kind of fun.
Well, and she did it to spite Captain Marvel specifically, right? Every place that she went to, Captain Marvel has spent a significant amount of time there. And look, there's nothing I appreciate more from a villain than spite. It's a tremendous motivator.
Yeah.
So yeah, I also like the idea. I think I said it on the other review. It's a good idea to have them like switch powers to kind of mitigate their power levels, right? Like, because theoretically, at least two of these. I'm still not 100% sure on Kamala Khan's power set in the MCU. She kind of reminds me of a Green Lantern a little bit, where she can like control light and make it like hard light and stuff like that. But Photon and Captain Marvel together, I mean, like,
they don't need
right. You don't need nobody else. So
like, Photon is indestructible. Like, you can't get me. Like, that's it. I'm gonna shoot you. Nope. Like, it's fine. And then you got the indestructible fucking beast in Captain Marvel. Yeah, like,
and she's a nuclear weapon.
Right.
Again,
unlimited nuclear bombs on demand. Right. Like,
right.
Hey, so, what's that coming in from the clouds? Oh shit, something to even an entire war. Okay, cool, great.
right. Just like in that last in Infinity War, where they were, or Endgame, where dude was like, rain fire, and then all the fucking sensors turned around because like there's a bigger threat here, guys.
She just flew through their ship like it was nothing. Get out of here. I mean, The funny thing is they do use the entanglement thing to mitigate, like, especially Captain Marvel's powers. Because, like, why are we even having a conversation? She's like having fist fights with people in hallways. Why? Like, yo, just blow this whole ship up and let's knock it off, right? So it was a smart way to handle that because, like, she can end any fight in 3 seconds. Like, it's not a big deal. The woman went toe to toe with Thanos, for God's sake. Like, he had to use one of the Infinity Stones to put her down. Like, no, right. She was about to fucking kill him. And it would have been, and it didn't even seem like it took much sweat on her brow to do it. Like, so, right. Yeah. Yeah, I do agree with you. I think it was a smart way to handle that.
They also, like, wrote in that, like, Photon could barely, like, she's still kind of getting used to her abilities. So I think that was pretty smart. I think the script kind of covered the bases with most of that stuff. Again, the only thing that I'm concerned about on a script level was, you know, hey, these refugees, let's take them to Earth, like, and where this thing fits in the timeline. So in my headcanon, it takes place before a secret invasion.
Like, that doesn't make sense. It better, because it just fails logically if it doesn't. Like, it just doesn't make sense.
Iman Vellani is the actor that plays Kamala Khan, and she owns this film. Like I said, this movie is way closer to a sequel to her show, and this is she's adorable in the role, and I think she is the perfect, like, linchpin to this new possible era that that the MCU is going to go into, because at the end, Kamala seeks out the aid of other heroes, starting with Kate Bishop. And she's, they do that cute little callback to when Sam Jackson was at the end of Iron Man, you know, in the shadows inside of Tony's house, and they have Miss Marvel there, and, you know, she tries to be like badass and, you know, do the same type of thing, but it's just silly, and she kind of fumbles her words and stuff like that. Like, it's cute, and I'm actually very interested to see a Young Avengers movie. Who do you think would be in it?
All right, okay. So one, before I even,
because I see people like I get it, guys, I get it, like, comics, I get it. But what most people for some reason don't understand is that comic books, when it comes to these movies, the comics are a guidebook and not a rule book, right? Like things can change.
Gonna have Hulkling, bro. Like, that's
right. They're gonna you gotta have Wiccan in it. Like, okay, but the last we saw those kids, man, like they were being harassed by their not mom, and they might, like, okay, I get it, but let's talk about characters that we've actually seen and can and we've seen them, like, do shit.
Right. Now, look, granted, you could see a scenario depending on how long it is before we see them. You could see Speed and Wiccan. Right? Maybe not the same actors, but you could see them, right? Just in fairness. Here's my thought. Before we even get to who I would put in that Young Avengers lineup, because I think it's super interesting. Going back to the Kamala Khan, recruiting these new members, right? I think that what you're seeing not only is, like, using her as, like, the new Nick Fury type of thing for, like, a younger audience. I mean, I think that's obvious. But I do think that leads. I think that leads a lot into where the MCU is going, right? Which is they're going to start to skew younger, because for a while, and the reason why I say it's like it's not like you're not going to have like your Captain Americas and your older X-Men and everything else. We'll get there. It's not that you're not going to have that, but they realize something that I think a lot of people who are our age don't realize, right? We are now in our mid-40s, right? We're aging out. And they need new blood of a new audience to be what we were when we were fucking 18 and 20 years old, and some people younger than that who were fucking hyped for this shit. You need them. And the thing is, the old folks are like, I'm getting bored with the MCU. I don't enjoy it. They know that. But what the train ain't stopping, baby. So what they're going to do is they're going to try to pull in more young people. And that's the smartest fucking move they can do. Don't try to keep pleasing old people as they keep getting older and more stubborn and want the fucking more and more violence and everything else. You stick to your game plan. You give old people some shit too, because they still there, right? You still got people who like this shit, who are getting older, who don't complain about everything. But you pull in new audiences, because that's how you keep the money train going. That's all you do. Yeah. And they're being super smart. I mean, I talked to some people who said in their screening, there's these two very definitive post-credit or, like after movie scenes, right? Which we'll talk about the second one in a moment. They're built for two wildly different audiences of the MCU. One is built for you've been here the whole fucking time. You've been here before the MCU was a thing, right? Like, because quite literally, the people who are in that second thing are the person who is the main person in that second scene, the post-credit scene, is literally a person that existed before the MCU, right? So that is for us. And that is to get us like jazzed up. But this first one with Kamala Khan is for new audiences. Hey, there's a young Avengers, because young people are watching Hawkeye. They're all into that shit. They know what's happening and all the details of that shit. They know what's happening. And so pulling them in and then keeping the old people who want to be there, keeping them together, that's the move, man. That's the moneymaker. And they're very, very fucking smart for that. So my young Avengers team. Kamala Khan, Kate Bishop. My guess is it's probably Peter, but it could be Miles. Depends on what they do. One of the Spider-Men, right?
Yeah.
Scar, because Scar was introduced in She-Hulk. Don't think the MCU has forgotten about him.
Right.
Even if you have. There's a possibility that you get Patriot maybe down the line. My guess is they're going to do a bit of mirroring of the original Avengers with a new group, right? With a couple of twists on that.
Yeah.
And Ironheart, right? So you need like an Asgardian of some sort. I don't know who that would be at this point. Some people said maybe that
it would be
Thor's daughter.
Love. Yeah,
maybe
it would be Love.
She's a bit young, right? She's like 8, right? Like, but like somebody said in our, like, you could just
age
still
her
do
up.
it. Right? You could just age her up, right? But like somebody said in our Discord, they were like, look, if the Hemsworth, because that's like Chris Hemsworth's daughter, the Hemsworth want to cash another check for a while. Yeah. Why not?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like,
yeah.
I ain't turning that shit down. Get out of here. So,
right.
Yeah. So you get some sort of Asgardian, whoever that could be, right? Whether that's Love or Hemdall's son, like whoever, right? Scar, Kate Bishop, Kamala Khan, probably Patriot. I feel like you need a grounded hero, right? Like you need somebody who doesn't have like superpowers, but like is a badass. And then you need a Spider-Man. I think that's enough.
I think
Who you got?
I think Spider-Man is a wild card. I think Spider-Man would still be used sparingly, just like he is now.
Yeah, I agree.
Because of, the whole rights situation. Like Sony's never going to give up Spider-Man. Ever.
No,
Like,
that company has to die. It has to die in order for them to give it back.
Yeah, it's literally Marvel's most popular character. They're never going to give that back to them. They would be fools to do so. But if you do have a spider in there, it will most definitely be Miles. It will most definitely be Miles. Here's my prediction for this next Spider-Man movie, Spider-Man 4 or whatever. Home is where the heart is, right? And Spider-Man Home for the Holidays. and Spider-Man Home for the Holidays, you will see an introduction of Miles. And then at the end, much like the Spider-Man 1 video game introduced Miles, in the end, you will see that Miles has been bit by some sort of spider. And then you can you can literally reboot the franchise again.
And you think that's the last Peter Parker movie?
Yeah, I think Tom Holland, I think it's the last one with Tom Holland. I'll put it that way. I think it's the last one with Tom Holland. I think that guy is like, I've been Spider-Man. This is awesome. I got to get away from this. Right. Yeah, like, I don't want to, right. And that's 100% fair, right? Like, you don't want to be like look at what Daniel Radcliffe has done to himself to get away from being Harry Potter, right? Like,
you don't want to be a perpetual kid forever.
Yeah, and he's got a baby face already. Like, it's hard for me to take Tom Holland seriously as a man, right? Like, and I know that's some disrespectful ass stuff, but like, you got a baby face, yo.
Yeah, you're a boy. Like, knock it off.
You got a baby face.
I need Tom Holland. I mean, he did that one movie, Cherry, where like he was really trying to be like, yo, I'm not a kid. Fuck off. Like, I'm really not. Like,
right.
Watch me do drugs. It was like, all right, we got it.
Right. Him and Zendaya together, like, feels like, they're going to prom. Yeah, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's a fucking, it's an adorable cover of the latest Tiger Beat.
Right. Exactly. Like, they're just like, nah, yo, y'all aren't adults to me. Y'all are young. Y'all are too young.
And that's fine.
That's perfectly fine. I'm jealous. I miss having youth.
Fuck you kids. But yeah, so I think Holland, if Holland wants to do 4 and then walk away, I think the worst thing that Sony could do though is be like, let's reboot it again. Don't reboot it. Just get a new actor playing, Peter Parker, and then just take that Peter, just age him up a little bit, just a little bit, age him up, and that Peter Parker, he rides with the Avengers and all that, like the upper echelon shit, and you leave Miles. Like occasionally, obviously they interact, obviously they're friends and everything else, but you leave it so that, and don't kill off Peter Parker. You don't need to. I know that happened in the you don't need to. You just do not need to do that. You could actually, let me correct that. You can kill Peter Parker. It can't be in the 616 universe. You can do it, but it cannot be in the 616 universe. That would be a mistake. So just
don't do it.
The upper echelon shit, and then bring in Miles and let him be in the Young Avengers. Let him jump over every once in a while, but he's mostly hanging out with the young folks. Like, just let him do that in his own shit. It's the best way. And then when it feels like it's getting a little tired and you wanna fucking inject a couple of $1 billion into your franchise, you bring in Spider-Gwen. Like, it's not hard, man. The shit writes itself. Actually, it doesn't write itself. It's already been written. It's not hard. Look, my prediction for Miles, incidentally, is that I think that what we are going to find out in that next Miles Morales movie, the next animated movie, that he is going to make a jump to another universe, and it is going to be a live action universe. I think what is it, Beyond the Spider-Verse? Right? Like, yeah. Where are you going beyond what we've seen? Well, the only way you go beyond is to really push all the way out and be like, not only is like making the jump to live action, right? Because what you could do is make the jump to live action. He ends up in this other universe, or we meet the live action universe Miles, but it's not the 616 universe. It's another universe. And with all the incursions and all that other shit that's happening, that particular Miles gets dumped into the MCU proper at some point down the line.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, it's called Beyond the Spider-Verse, so guess what? The Beyonder is going to be in it. And the Beyonder is like a a cosmic being that can like warp realities and shit.
Right.
So yeah, it's possible.
It's absolutely possible. It'd be the ultimate slick move, man. They got you. They already built up all the shit with Miles. You don't have to do any of the work again. And now it's like, and now he's in live action. And by the way, now he's in live action, and here's the actor. Done. Right? And you're like, oh shit. Oh, like that's like a lot of things. And it's like, see you next time, motherfucker. And then you're like, well, here's my fucking $12. Like I'm gonna see whatever else you do. Right? It'd be smart money. So we'll see what they do. All right, let's talk about the second post-credit scene, and then we're gonna get out of here. Look, man, we all been waiting on it. And it was dope as fuck to see, for real. Finally, we see after Photon goes through a ripped portal in across the multiverse, she goes in to seal it up. She can't get back. She's stuck there, and she fucking passes out. And she wakes up, and she's being helped by a very brilliant doctor by the name of Hank McCoy, and not Hank McCoy looking like a human, just straight up beast, all blue, furry, CGI'd, not in makeup. Voiced by Kelsey Grammer, which was fucking awesome. Because at first I was like, wait, whose voice is that? I was like, oh my God, that is fucking perfect. Because his voice is perfect. It literally is perfect.
Yeah.
Dude, I was hyped. I was super hyped. That's one of these two post-credit scenes were two of the best we've had in a long time. They were really, really great.
They are, Marvel Studios is really like enjoying edging the fans with these X-Men teases. Right. Like I figured, everyone was talking about it, and I figured it was probably something X-Men related, because mutant was said at the end of Ms. Marvel, right? Technically she's a mutant. And yeah, it was dope. I enjoyed it. I CG Beast looked fine for what it was supposed to be, right? Like it was just a quick tease. Binary was there, played by Lashana Lynch, which was dope.
Yes.
And yeah, like this is kind of what we were saying before regarding, there were many different like theories of how the X-Men could become a part of the MCU, right? Like some people were suggesting something, the Terrigen Mist, which only affected certain people. Some people suggested like a Big Bang or some shit, like, and no, it makes the most sense. Especially the second they said multiverse, I said, well, all right, well, that's it, right? Like here is a universe where mutants exist. And
the Avengers don't.
Right. And the Avengers don't. Right.
Yeah, that's important.
And you have this bigger movie coming out called Secret Wars, which is all about like, the realms converging on one another.
Right.
Yeah, like this is the way to do it. This is the way to play it. And I think it's I can't wait for it. You know what I mean? Like I like the X-Men, right? Like I'm not like because I grew up in the 90s. Of course I like the X-Men, but like they're not my team, but I do like individual X-Men. And it'll be dope seeing all of them on screen. I was looking at some comment, and we were talking about like media literacy before we got on the air, and I was looking at some comment, and sad. It was from an article like how the Marvel sets up the Secret Wars or whatever, right, regarding the X-Men. And one guy was like, nope, they're gonna ruin the X-Men. Why don't they should just call them the X-Them and get it over with? And I kind of chuckled at that. I kind of chuckled at that.
Yeah, you're a child. Man.
The X-Them was kind of funny to me. But there's a person that doesn't get what the X-Men are. And I'm excited for the X-Men, but I'm also excited for the back and forth that's going to happen when on all sides, right? Like black people are just going to claim all of the X-Men, right?
Yeah.
Because of the allegories, right? Like, come on, we could share, guys. We could share. We don't all have to
for us.
like,
don't go to the theater. It's okay.
We could share because that's part of that mutant thing comes out during puberty, right? You know what else happens during puberty? When you find out when you're gay, like that's kind of
open about it at least,
right? I'm feeling these feelings. And the leader of the gay faction, the Brotherhood of Gay People, right? Like he calls themselves Homo Superior, right? Like it's all there, guys. Like we gotta share the X-Men with gay people. So if you
I am here. I am 100% here for the LGBTQ community to go fucking ham on this shit. I'm here for it. Like, I want a bunch of like X-Men cosplay at Pride events. Go fucking for broke. Go for broke. I got no problem with it. Look, it's long overdue. Look, Republicans, if you think you're mad at Disney now, just fucking wait. Wait. Because look, they touched on it. Fox of all people touched on it in those fucking Bryan Singer movies, right? Yeah, obviously Bryan Singer is an openly gay man, also a dirtbag separate of that. But he touched on it, right? Like it was very much in the 2000s. That was very much the vibe from those movies, right? It was like, this is representative of gay folks and everything else, right? Obviously, right? At least it was obvious to anyone paying attention.
I mean, there was one line from Iceman, who is in the comics is gay. There's one line from Iceman's parents. They were like, well, could you try not being a mutant? Like that's literally what parents say, bigoted parents say when they find out their kids are gay, right? Like, so look.
No, I can't.
So look, I'm just saying,
yeah, but the MCU, they don't really have much of a problem going like, did you not get this? Well, here it is, right in your face. Like they don't give a fuck. Like we're gonna make $1 billion on this shit. So, look, if you don't like woke shit, just check the fuck out for the next couple phases, yo, because they get ready to go ham. It's gonna be awesome. I can't wait. But the CGI for Beast was clearly not done, right? It was like 95% there. But I'm gonna give it a pass. It's just an after credit scene. I'm not too worried about that. Like I'm not worried about that as far as like a real movie, right? But fundamentally, did it look good? Yeah, it looked good. He didn't look like a cat, which I appreciate. I don't like Cat Beast. I can't.
You don't like Cat Beast?
I hate that design. I fucking hate that design. It's terrible. Right? Put Nicholas Hoult in that fucking get up. He looked ridiculous. I'm really upset. All right, get out of here. And I don't dislike Nicholas Hoult as an actor. Like I dislike that design. I like the Kelsey Grammer design, like fundamentally, but I still don't like that it was a practical costume. But I realize and I recognize, obviously, that back then you could never CGI a character like Beast and put him in a movie on those budgets. But now you absolutely can, right? Fuck, Colossus was fucking CGI'd, right? Like, but for Colossus to look as good as he did in Deadpool, to then do like a practical makeup for Beast, I don't think it works. Like certain characters need to be CGI'd. That being said, if you're going to put Kelsey Grammer in this movie, I want Kelsey Grammer to be in that role for as long as possible, and not having to be forced to put into like 20 hours of makeup keeps Kelsey Grammer likely to be in that role. So that's great. The other aspect to this is kind of a big one, right? Which is that means that the X-Men as we know it are fully formed. Beast is not a young man. Like, he's an adult. Like, he is an adult character, which means Cyclops is an adult. Jean is an adult. Wolverine is an adult. Like, all of those characters are already there, right? To some degree, right? We don't know in the timeline of X-Men history where that universe is. Like, we don't know, right? Is that like they got Beast, but it's still like the original 5, right? But they haven't brought Wolverine in. We don't know. But most likely, Wolverine is already there. I think it's awesome. I think it's great. I'm super fucking excited about it. Like, yeah. That, like, again, they could not have picked 2 scenes that work better to grab a young audience and pull them in and keep the old audience fucking excited. So, yeah. I'm
yeah, it was very much a you know, oh, we hear that you're done with us. Are you? Because guess what? Bam! Here's Beast. People are getting excited for Beast, yo.
Right, yo.
Beast. Yeah. Like, he's the nerd, yo. He's he's not part of the away team. You know what I mean?
Right.
He's a dork.
I'll stay back and calculate the trajectory of the fucking Blackbird. Like, shut up, nerd. Get out of here. Hey, look, I like Beast, but like, Beast isn't Wolverine, right? Like, if they had a scene like, here's Wolverine, people would go fucking crazy, right?
Right. He ain't the money maker, yo. Like,
but it looked good.
It looked fine. It looked fine. It did its job, and it just it makes me excited to see. It makes me curious to see what these designs look like. You know, I can't imagine they're going 90s, right? Like, that would be a little ridiculous. And even, but what I do want to see is what they do in damn near they did it in the Marvels, right? They did it in the Marvels. Photon traditionally has like wings, like flowing wings, and they had it, and she ripped them off. We're like, what the fuck is this? Like,
I look like an idiot.
Right. And you know, same thing with Chris Evans and Captain America. They put him in that traditional Captain America outfit, and it just like, see how stupid this looks.
Yeah,
but I know you want to see it, so here it is, right? Like, I kind of want that. Just a quick scene in this new whatever this X-Men movie is going to be.
But at the same time, I need them to, like, there's some aspects of the 90s designs that are my favorite. Like, they're fucking timeless. I love that Cyclops design from the 90s, yo. Like, give me the fucking give me the jacket over the outfit. I need it. Like, I need it. That shit is dope. And look, Loretta Lynch being back as binary.
Lashana
Lynch. Her being back as binary, that's dope, man. I think it's dope, because that was one of my biggest sadnesses about that first Captain Marvel movie, is that I knew she wouldn't be back in the MCU, and then they gave you a little tease and Doctor Strange, like, oh, here you go. But like, having her back and then having her push back into the mainline MCU, that's dope. I think that's really fucking cool. Also, this also solves a problem that I think is deeply fucking important. This is not the same universe that we met Charles Xavier and all those guys in Doctor Strange. I think that is important, because everyone's like, that Reed Richards is an idiot. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, doesn't matter. Not the same fucking universe. It's not the same universe. That's great.
Yeah, I mean, I figured, I know you know this, but like, I figured that would go without saying, right? Like, if you know an X-Men movie is coming, you're not going to kill off Charles Xavier in a random Doctor Strange movie before you introduce him into the X-Men in the MCU. So, but yes, it definitively, right? And they made sure to say, well, Charles wants to know how she's doing, right? Like, so they specifically let you know that he's alive and well. So, Yeah, that's kind of what the whole multiverse thing is. But
and it also gives you a chance to get a new actor, right? Because it can't be Patrick Stewart. He's 155 years old. I love Patrick Stewart.
yeah, I mean,
That's silly.
I'm sure Patrick Stewart would love to do it, but I'm sure he would even say, "I'm getting too old for this shit."
Yeah, like I need give me. You don't have to be 25, right? I don't need that. But give me like a 40, 50-year-old Professor X, or even 60, right? But somebody who can stick around for a bit. That's going to be in these movies. Like you need somebody who can like really fucking tear it up, and just chew up some fucking scenery, man. Like him and whoever they pick to be Magneto, they got to be awesome because they got massive, massive shoes to fill. Yeah, look, the Marvels, pretty fun ride. Again, not blowing any doors off, but it was serviceable. I would argue sits. You and I both talked about this. Sits right somewhere smack in the middle of the MCU as far as quality goes compared to the other movies. These two post-credit scenes, absolutely excellent. So, fucking about both of them.
If you are, one of those people who are kind of disenchanted with the Marvel output this phase, this is a return to form, and with that comes everything positive and negative. Yep. It's light. It's way better than I expected, but it's not like anywhere near like a top 10 movie for me.
No, absolutely not. It's okay. It happens. All right, on to the next one. All right, we will see you guys next time.
See ya.